Eleanor Langdon, in her early 70s, initially enjoyed the first few months of her retirement in Long Island, New York. For 40 long years, she had been a high school English teacher. Now, there were no early morning alarms, no pressure to grade papers. But gradually, the silence of the house became unbearable for her. Her husband had passed away 3 years ago, and her 3 children were busy with their own families in different parts of the country. Eleanor realized that comfort did not necessarily mean joy. She longed to break away from the familiar world that felt like a wall around her. One day, she looked at the old 1956 Ford Thunderbird parked in her garage. The car had belonged to her father, and driving it always made her feel independent. "It's time," she whispered. Eleanor filled the tank, packed the essentials, and set her destination for Colorado. She simply drove west along the highways, letting her heart lead the way. Within a month, she found herself amidst the dry, reddish hills and intensely blue skies of New Mexico. One afternoon, on the outskirts of a small town, she pulled up to a restaurant called the Main Street Diner. The interior of the diner looked straight out of the 50s. She sat in a red vinyl booth and ordered a coffee and apple pie. In the next booth, an elderly gentleman sat alone, slowly sipping his coffee. He looked to be in his 70s too, with a deep thoughtfulness in his eyes. After finishing his coffee, the gentleman turned to Eleanor and smiled gently. "That's a beautiful car you have. A Thunderbird, right?" Eleanor smiled back. "It is. I call her Flash." The gentleman introduced himself. "I'm Harold. I'm coming from a remote area of Arizona. I was a mechanic for many years, but now I've taken up a new job." "A new job?" Eleanor asked. Harold replied, "I'm making a map of the American West's best untold story diners, places where the food is as authentic as the stories are old." Eleanor became intrigued. She spoke about the void in her retirement and the reason for her unplanned journey. Harold said, "Retirement is a kind of decluttering, Eleanor, getting rid of the old work desk so you can start something new. On my map, you won't just find food and roads, you will find freedom, adventure, and good company." Harold gave her a piece of a hand-drawn map indicating her next destination, an old road south of New Mexico, where a Spanish-American family ran a small cooking establishment. "Go there, talk to them, tell them your life story. You'll see, your adventure has just begun," Harold advised. The next day, Eleanor took the steering wheel of her Thunderbird. As red dust flew up behind her and she drove south along that old road, there was no longer any emptiness in her heart. She realized that Harold's untold story diners were actually opportunities to connect with people anew. Her retirement was not an ending. It was the most beautiful, long road of life, one that was just beginning to unfold. To the sound of the old car's engine and the desert wind, Eleanor welcomed her new life.